Not sure if it's your time to buy? Well, this is your sign, or it's your sign not to. Whichever is the right thing to do, you're gonna find out in this video. Number one on the list is if you make steady money. Obviously, there is a bunch going on in the world, but if you feel confident in your job and you feel confident in your income, and if you were to lose your job, is your position replaceable? Like, can you go get another job somewhere? What does that look like for you? It's very important because when the recession hit in 2008, there was a lot of people whose jobs were just kind of like extra jobs. It wasn't necessary. They couldn't find work anywhere else, things like that. So you want to make sure that you are financially sound for sure, but one of those things includes your job. So someone like a nurse probably always gonna have a job. Someone like a firefighter probably always gonna have a job. Someone like a cop probably always gonna have a job. Now, I'm not saying only cops, firefighters, and nurses can have jobs. I mean, who could have predicted that all the restaurants would have been out of business? But also, you need to make sure that if something happens, you have a game plan, a plan B, a backup plan, something to make sure that you are going to be able to pay your mortgage, because when it's the time to do that, you can't just, send a letter to the landlord and let them know you don't have the money. Obviously, things are a lot more complicated than that, but it's definitely something to take into account. Number two on my list is if you've paid off a majority of your debt. Obviously, debt is very, very common in today's age, and it's more than okay to have debt. But if you have, a whole house basically in debt from student loans, you should probably work on paying some of that down. You went shopping a little bit too much, kind of work on paying that. And that's where a lender is a great resource. They can let you know, how much, where you need to get your debt level at, how you can work on paying that down, and that's not going to negatively affect you, and will help you set up a plan. So if you're interested, let me know and I'll get you connected with a lender that will help you do that. Number three on my list is money in savings. So a lot of times you are definitely able to buy a house with no money down, get a credit for the closing costs so you don't have to bring any cash, but at the same time, I don't want my client to move in and then have, the air conditioner break or the roof get a leak, and then you don't have any money to fix it. That's not the smartest thing to do. Obviously, buying a house is a great way to build income and build, stability, but at the same time, you have to have enough money to be able to pay those things. So if you're someone, I feel like a lot of people in today's age aren't really good at savings, like they make enough money, they just don't put it away and, don't touch it. I feel like a lot of people make what they make and then they spend what they make. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. I have a savings plan. If you're interested in that, there will be a link down below. Number four is if you've been at your job or the same field for 2 or more years. So this is something that lenders look at when getting you approved for a loan. It's super important to them to show that you are stable. They don't want someone who owned their own business and then tried out real estate and then tried out car sales and then tried out owning a restaurant and then they tried out being an accountant. They want to see that you have you are in the same field, you're dedicated to that field, you're consistent, and I think too it just helps them get to know you a little bit better. Not that they're looking at you at like an individual level, but someone that has been at the same job for at least 2 years is okay with consistency and structure, and clearly they're doing a fine job if they're there for 2 years, which 2 years is not a long time, but at the same time it shows that you are committed. I mean, not saying that's not the truth, but if you're thinking about quitting your job and being an entrepreneur or something, just wait until you buy a house if that's something that you're wanting to do. Number 5 on my list is if your credit score is above 580. 580 is pretty much the lowest of lows that you can get approved for a mortgage for. Obviously, getting your credit repaired can be difficult. I have a video up on my YouTube that talks about about how I got mine fixed, you can go check that out. But otherwise, talk with a lender, try to work on your credit getting repaired, and see what we can do. So if you're not aware, the better your credit is, the better your interest rate will be. It doesn't vary too much, but it definitely can help. So, we want to make sure you're on the right path and that you are doing everything that you can, but at the same time, your credit score doesn't need to be a 947, even though that's not a real number. That's just me exaggerating. As long as you have a credit score, we can work on it. And if you're not able to qualify for a loan, we can make sure that you're getting your credit fixed so that soon you will be able to. Number 6 is you understand what type of home you want to buy. So depending on where you're at in your life, you might be wanting to buy a house to raise a family, or to, have somewhere to go home at night, or have somewhere to come when you're done traveling. A lot of people buy a house and then rent it out when they're not home. There's a lot of things that you can do with a house, and also understanding where you're going to go next. So if you are done living at this house, are you going to sell it? Are you going to rent it out? Kind of having a plan will give you a good idea of what to look for in a house. Like if it's your forever home, you probably aren't going to want, something with a lot of stairs or a bad route home. You want to have something that you're going to love and be excited to go home to. Or if you're going to rent, then you're going to want to find a house that has 3 or 4 bedrooms and is in a good neighborhood and will be able to rent for a lot of money so that you can cover your mortgage, things like that. So those are definitely things to keep in mind, and in the link below there will be also a guide to kind of pick out your perfect house and what that would look like for you. So go get that. Because you want to fill it out. I know you do. You don't have to lie to me. It's okay. And number 7 on the list is where you want to live. So this is definitely a big thing. Whether you're planning to live in California or Arkansas or New Mexico or Georgia, I listed very southern states. I guess if you want to live in Michigan, then that could definitely be a thing too. I think you should first start by narrowing down the state, then start narrowing down, where do you work? Do you have to go into work? What's your commute like? What are you okay with? I personally hate commuting, so that's why I live 7 minutes away from my office and 7 minutes away from basically anything. But other people don't mind driving an hour to go to work, to be able to, pay for their house or whatever it might be. So those are things that, you need to take into consideration and figure out before you start looking for a house, because if you don't know where you want to live, then it's kind of silly to start looking for a house, I mean, obviously you can look in different areas and see what piques your interest, but, I think you should kind of nail down, a county, a town. If you can nail down a neighborhood, that's great. But I think that's just something that you should keep in mind and think about when looking for your dream home or your next home or your perfect rental house or whatever it might be. So if these 7 tips helped you think about the process a little bit differently, let me know down below which one impacted you the most. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see ya in the next video. Also, don't forget to go follow me on Instagram and like my Facebook page and subscribe. Hit that bell. Be my friend. Be my YouTube friend. Be my Instagram friend. Be my Facebook friend, please. Okay, that's all. Have a good day. I'm loyal. This hand is loyal. It don't get no better than